Hello, my good friends. Mike Shreeve, founder and head troublemaker of the No Pants Project. You are listening to episode 8, How I Charge and Get My Clients to Pay Me $12,500 per month. Now, before we get into the specific service that I provide, it's very important for you to have some context around how I arrived at this level in my career. Okay, so I don't want anyone to think that if they're not charging $12,500 a month today and they just started yesterday, that somehow they're on the wrong path, or this is about my process to discovering my superpower. So I want to give you the context behind that, hopefully to spark some ideas about what your potential superpower could be. And then with that context, I will break down specifically what and how it is that I deliver, what it is I deliver, and how I deliver it, okay? So first off, it's very important, again, for you to understand, I did not start out my freelancing career charging $12,000 a month. My freelancing career was like most people's freelancing career. I jumped into the marketplace and said, I'm a writer. And the conversations I had with my clients was, I'll write your copy, I'll write your blog post, I'll write your ebook for you. And so because I was like everybody else who was saying that, and because I was focusing on what I would do for them, instead of focusing on what result I would get for them, my clients treated me like a commodity because that's what I was. I was like every other writer who was in the marketplace, which means I was doing the gig-to-gig thing, which means I was doing the scramble. Most of my time was spent marketing instead of spending most of my time doing what I actually like to do, which was writing. You know, I did the $5, $10 SEO articles. I did the $100 sales pages. I did all of that stuff that so many people do when they first enter the market because they think that clients hire them because of what they do. And that's not true at all. The big shift that happened for me to go from really barely scraping by on like $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, I think maybe my best month as a commoditized writer was like $5,000 a month. And it was 1 month and I was exhausted and dead because it was just so hard to keep up enough work volume to make that much money. The big shift that happened for me is when I realized that I needed to up-level my skill set. And so I started to look at, how do I get better at copy? How do I get better at writing? I started taking other programs, investing in all this stuff and learning from people who were far further ahead from me. And clients started to ask me, hey, can you run my Facebook ads? And I was like, all right, let me try to learn Facebook ads. So I learned Facebook ads. And then my client said, hey, can you do this? And can you do this? And can you do this? And what happened is I started to realize that my clients were really just trying to plug holes in their business. That the client, at the end of the day, what they really wanted was a compound result. A compound result is A plus B plus C equals the thing that I want. I realized my clients didn't want to hire a copywriter. They didn't want to hire a Facebook ad specialist. They didn't want to hire... That's not what they wanted. What they wanted was the result of when a copywriter and a Facebook ads person and this person and a designer get together and make something and it creates a sale. What they wanted was the sale. What they were trying to do was plug the holes in the equation to find the sale. And so what I discovered is, having the client trying to use me to plug holes here and then, hey, do you know anybody who could help us with this? And in that process, I was able to sort of reverse engineer and determine what does the client actually want? And then what do I possess now? What skills could I develop that would generate the compound result that they are looking for? So instead of me going to a client and say, I'm a copywriter and I'll increase your conversions, which is decent, but that's what every copywriter says. So you're in the commodity market. Instead of doing that, I thought to myself, what if I start telling clients, my name's Mike, I help people like you to, and I thought, what is the thing that they really, really want? And I realized that the thing that they really, really wanted was to add passive income to their business. And they wanted to add a lot of passive income to their business. They wanted more money without having to do any additional work. Like, who doesn't want to do that, right? When I found that out, I realized that to help a client achieve that, it was going to take more than just a skill, right? That is a compound result. You need traffic, you need something to sell, you need this, you need that, you need all these different things. And so what I did is I set out to solve that problem. I knew the problem was they wanted passive income. I didn't necessarily know in the moment how to do all of it. I knew I was interested in it. I knew I had some skills. I knew my passion and desire was to work with this particular type of client, but I didn't know the details quite yet. And this is part of the process of finding your superpower. If you go to the nopantsproject.com and you find and you watch our case study, at the end of that case study, and you'll see 18 other case studies of other freelancers and all that kind of good stuff. We have a mentoring and a coaching program which you can apply for. In that mentoring and coaching program, we spend a third of the program working through the superpower process. So instead of it taking you years like it did for me, working through this process, we compress it to about 4 weeks. Because the end result of finding a superpower is having the ability to get out of commoditized market, the commodity market, because here's what happened. Once I discovered that my clients wanted just more passive income, the conversation completely changed. Because now I was talking to my clients in the language they wanted to hear. Remember, they don't want to hire a copywriter. They don't want to hire a Facebook ad specialist. They don't want to hire a graphic designer. They don't want to hire a programmer. They don't want to hire those people. Try to practice some empathy and imagine if you knew nothing about copywriting, hiring a copywriter and trying to figure out whether or not they're doing a good job and are you managing them correctly? And oh my gosh, do I have the right copywriter? Is this what I need? Versus hiring somebody who says, what I'm going to do is you don't need to worry about anything. I'm just going to build you some passive income over the next 12 months. It's going to look like this and like this, but don't worry, I've got all of it handled. I even have some people who are going to help me, and this is how much it's going to cost. All you have to do is just make sure the checks hit our bank account every month, and we'll take care of everything else. Like, try to have some empathy for somebody who's stressed out, running a business, has to do payroll, like who our clients actually are. They are human beings. Don't forget, they're not machines. They're humans just like you. They have feelings and emotions and struggles and stress. Imagine what a relief that is for the person on the other side of that conversation, aka the client. It's like so simple. They fully understand and realize what it is they're getting. A lot of the reasons that you're getting rejected or that you're unable to charge higher prices is because clients just don't fully understand what you do. They can't understand the value of what you do, because to them, if you go into the market as a commodity, you're simply a plug to plug in to some equation that they may not even fully understand themselves. So that was the big shift for me. My superpower wasn't just about getting a bunch more skills and then charging more. It was about a shift to being able to say, I help X to get Y. Specifically, I help experts at $1 million in revenue in 12 months or less. That's what I do for a living as a freelancer. Okay, the No Pants Project, That's a fun business for me, and I love it, and it's super fun to be able to give back and mentor people and help them find their superpower. But what I do for a living, what pays my bills, what makes me the most amount of money of everything that I do, is helping experts add $1 million in revenue in 12 months or less. Now, there's a couple things you have to understand about this, about superpowers. Sometimes the superpower isn't about everything that you can do. So there's a big element of what I do for clients that is technical build, which is to say building pages, building websites, adding autoresponder integrations, all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of it because I hate it. I've tried to learn it like at least a half a dozen times over the past couple of years, where I buy a program and I say, okay, this time I'm actually going to learn it. But do you know what happens? I don't even get past the first video and I just end up sending it to my tech person. So part of my superpower is not that I do everything, but that I have created for myself. I've filled in the gaps. And so when a client pays me, they're not just paying me for what I do, they're also paying me because I filled in the gaps for them. Which you can imagine, just imagine, like you don't have to stretch your imagination that far to understand why somebody would want to pay for that. Imagine if there was someone who came into your current freelancing business and just said, hey, why don't I just get all the business for you? You don't have to do anything, you just do your thing. That sounds really cool, right? Because half of what you're paying for is that they're going to worry about it. So that's what it takes to be able to charge the kind of money that we're talking about. If you're thinking, I'm just going to, draw you a really, really good picture and charge you $10,000 a month, that's just unrealistic. Instead, you have to increase the problem that you solve. And that means either up-leveling skills or looking at other skills you have currently that you may be underutilizing. Maybe you're already good at running a team, but you just had never considered that by combining graphic design with running a team, you could do the graphic design elements and then have a tech build person and then have a copywriter. And you could be all of a sudden solving a much bigger problem, which is that you can create high converting landing pages for people, or you can build out courses for people, so this is part of the superpower discovery process that we work on in the mentorship and coaching program, because it's really, really important to get out of commoditized thinking. There's another thing that I want you to consider in terms of why we're able to charge higher prices, and this is why I'm giving you all this context, because if I just tell you what I do, then you'll miss the important parts. This is the important part of what I do. The reason I'm able to charge $12,000 a month is because I have a rule. I call it the 10x ROI rule, which is if somebody pays me money, I want them to get at least 10x what they paid me. So if somebody pays me $120,000 a month, $120,000 a year, or $150,000 a year, depending on how you measure, I want them to at least make $1 million, at least $1.5 million, 10 times what they pay me. Now, if you're in a niche or an industry where it's difficult to measure the financial ROI, the 10x rule still applies. Is their relationship 10 times better than what it was after they paid you? There's qualitative and there's quantitative measurements. Qualitative is they're happier, they're more calm, they have better relationships, It's the hard to measure stuff. Quantitative is they have lost this much weight. They have, put this much in their bank account. They've made this much money. So I have a rule. What you pay me, my goal is to make you 10 times as much. All of this mental stuff is required to charge higher prices. It's not a matter of just like, well, I want more money. Well, give me more money. That's consumption culture. That is, in my opinion, a disease of the mind where we just think we're owed stuff. You have to be able to increase the problems you're willing to solve if you want to increase the amount that you earn per client. Now, I know what someone's going to say, well, Mike, how the heck can you guarantee $1 million over 12 months? It's actually really, really simple. The way that I'm able to guarantee that is I don't work with clients who I don't think it will be easy to pull off with. Let me say that a little bit better. The only people I work with are people that I look at their business, I see what they have, I have conversations with them, I'm very blunt, I'm very honest, I'm very straightforward. And depending on their answers, depending on what they, what assets they already have, what their team already looks like, what their profitability is, what their propensity for risk is, all of these things, depending on all of that you could call it a profile, prospect profile, I will determine whether or not it's going to be easy or doable to generate those results. In other words, I'm able to produce those results because I spend most of my time disqualifying people who can't get those results. So when I am prospecting, my goal is not to take on as many clients as possible. My goal is to disqualify, which is why I can deliver those results consistently. Let me give you an example. If you're a personal trainer and you're looking at two people and they both want to lose 20 pounds, okay? You're a personal trainer, two different people come to you, they both have the same goal of losing 20 pounds. One person has like 1% body fat. I'm not a personal trainer, so I don't think that's real. I think you'd be like super sick if you're at 1%, but let's just say they have 1% body fat. They're completely shredded. They work out 6 hours a day, and they're like, they do intermittent fasting and they eat only chicken and broccoli. And that person wants to lose 20 pounds. Then you have another person who is overweight, who doesn't exercise, has a horrible diet, and is just really trying to lose 20 pounds to begin the journey of getting into shape. As a personal trainer, of those two people, which is more likely to be an easier 20 pounds? Probably not the person who's already has 1% body fat. Right? You would have to get into some way advanced personal trainer type stuff. And, if they're already working out at their max capacity, you can't just say go exercise. If they already have the most perfect diet ever, you can't really do anything to their diet. It's going to be very difficult to help them achieve the 20 pounds lost. Where the other person, it's super easy. Hey, here's something. Let's look at your diet. Let's make these changes. Okay. All right, let's work out 3 times a week. Okay, stop drinking soda. And all of a sudden, this person lost 20 pounds and they think you're a miracle worker. The other person who has 1% body fat, you could do your best. You put in as much effort as you possibly can. And at the end of the day, they didn't lose the 20 pounds and they think you're a scam artist. They think you're horrible. They think you're the worst trainer in the world. It's about disqualifying the people you can't help. That's how I'm able to say the promises that I say. It's through a process of disqualification. I don't take everybody. If you apply for the No Pants Project now in 2019, you might not be accepted. In the past year, I think in 2018, we accepted everybody. Never going to do that again. I built my freelancing business on disqualifying people who weren't qualified because I want to solve bigger problems. I like being able to say, I help experts add $1 million in revenue in 12 months or less. You can't do that if you take everybody and anybody. So for example, some of the things that I look for is, do they already have a content team? Have they ever sold something online before? Do they have an email list? Have they ever sold anything to the email list before? Do they have a following? Do they have an audience? Do they have good content that could be turned into, et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera? That's what I look for when I'm working with my clients. Now, the key to disqualifying people is having a steady supply of prospects coming to you so that you get to sort through and pick which ones you work with. If you're constantly on the struggle, having to chase clients, it is very difficult to be in disqualifying mode. And for those of you who are there right now where you don't have a system set up for leads to come to you, please understand, I feel you, I hear you, I understand you, I've been there myself, and I am empathetic toward where you are right now. So please don't think that, I'm sitting up here in my ivory tower, disqualify. The answer to that problem is that you need to go build something that gets clients coming to you. We did an episode yesterday, 21 different ways to use content to attract clients. A couple days ago, we did the podcast, how to make a podcast episode. The reason I'm doing this podcast is because I want people to come to us in the No Pants Project so that we can disqualify the ones who aren't qualified or who are qualified. If you need help to build that machine that helps people come to you as a, to get leads coming to you so you can get into disqualification mode, go to the nopantsproject.com, book a call with one of my advisors, and let's see if you're a good candidate for our mentorship and coaching program. We will help you to build that thing. There's great power in being able to disqualify because it allows you to focus on bigger problems. And when you do that, that's when you can charge higher prices. And that's when you have confidence, more confidence in who you're working with, that you're able to deliver those results because you know you're working with the right people. Okay, so that's the context that I needed to give in order for us to even talk about the actual mechanics. Because if I just give you the mechanics without all that context, you'll miss the important parts of what makes this work. And why, if you're considering doing it, you should, what you should watch out for. All right. Now, there are only 3 steps to adding $1 million to any business. Okay? There's only 3 steps to adding $1 million to any business. You guys know me. I like simple. If there's 57 steps, there's a high risk of systems failure. So let's keep it down to 3 at most. All right? The 3 things that you need, and we'll go in depth in these here over the next probably half hour or so. Number 1 is you need free traffic at scale. Number 2, you need a high ticket offer, and we'll talk about these here in depth. But number 3, you need a way to sell that offer at scale. Okay, so again, if you're taking notes, number 1, you need free traffic at scale. Number 2, you need a high ticket offer at scale. And number 3, you need a way to sell that offer at scale. Okay? Those are the 3 things you need. You don't need anything else. Keep it simple. Number 1, let's talk about free traffic at scale. In order to, and these are all things that we would do for a client. You can also do this for yourself if you want to. What it looks like is the No Pants Project is me doing this for myself instead of doing it for clients. So the No Pants Project is these 3 things that I'm now doing for myself after having done it a bunch for clients. However, if you want to do this for clients, it's a very good service. This is how I charge $12,000 a month per client. Okay. And often, as a side note, those contracts are $12,000 a month over 12 months, and I typically renew those contracts. When I say $12,000 a month over 12 months, I don't mean $12,000 broken up into 12 months. I mean the contracts are usually between $125,000 and usually $150,000, $160,000 per year, and then most of my clients renew year after year because why wouldn't they? They spend $100,000 and get back $1 million. So you guys know my philosophy. Gig to gig is a horrible way to go. Get fewer clients that you can help solve bigger problems, and they will stay with you for longer, which is the best way to go about running a freelance business. Okay, 3 things. Free traffic at scale, high ticket offer, a way to scale that offer, a way to sell that offer at scale. Number 1, free traffic at scale. If you are trying to sell something that will get you to $1 million, it is much easier to sell something that is more expensive than it is to sell something that is cheap. It takes a lot more $21 ebooks to get to $1 million than it does a $5,000 offer. Like a lot more. We have this weird idea in our heads, which I can't quite figure out whether it's a cultural influence or whether it's actually programmed into our minds, but that we have this idea that it's harder to sell something that's expensive than to sell something that's cheap, and it's not true. It's equally as difficult. To get someone to pay $21 is as equally online. So to get someone to pay someone $21 is equally as difficult as getting someone to pay $5,000. The difference is what those products or services do for people. So again, if the $21 ebook says, here's, a great plan on how to vegetable garden, versus a $5,000 offer, which is, I'll come to your house and build the vegetable garden for you, the price is simply a reflection of a higher level of service, and most people do desire a higher level of service. Don't believe me? Go to Yelp and look at the reviews of fast food restaurants, right? I mean, people, it's this weird thing. They want convenience, but then when they get it, they really don't like it. They want they want the more hands-on and, deeper experience and et cetera, et cetera. So the point is, it's as difficult to sell a 21 as it is a 5,000. Takes the same amount of copy, takes the same pages, takes the same graphics, takes the same traffic. It's all the same thing. So what you want to do is make sure that you're selling something that you have to sell fewer of them to get to $1 million. If that's true, then we know that not everyone's going to buy 5,000, and so we need to have lots of traffic. Just like we'd need a crazy amount of traffic for a $21 offer if we wanted to get to $1 million, we still also need a lot of traffic. It's not going to happen on, you're not going to have an 80% conversion rate on a $5,000 offer. So you need lots of traffic. The best way to get traffic is not organic traffic. Organic traffic is the free stuff like blogging or YouTube videos or podcasting even. That's not the best way if speed is important. So my service, in a year, $1 million. That ain't going to happen on standstill to go organic traffic, which is to say, if they don't have a blog, you're not going to get to a point where you're making $1 million a year on a blog unless you're Neil Patel. And by the way, Neil Patel has some really interesting secrets and stuff that he didn't reveal in that case study, like buying certain links and things, which was not revealed. But most average people aren't going to make $1 million off of a blog in 12 months. You do have the occasional, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but I certainly wouldn't promise clients that it's going to happen. That's a huge risk. And if you're doing this for clients, be careful. You know, you're not going to Instagram it. You're not going to. So organic traffic is a great add-on, but you need, for like long-term longevity, like we're doing the podcast to make sure that, you know, we have content floating on the interwebs forever and ever. But the main engine of getting free traffic at scale is actually paying for traffic. Let me explain. With Facebook ads, I can turn on Facebook ads in an hour from now and start sending traffic wherever I want it to go. I can turn on YouTube ads an hour from now and send traffic to wherever I want to go. I can use Twitter. I can use LinkedIn. I can use any of those, any platform that's free sells traffic. You know, one of my favorite sayings when people complain about things like Facebook or complain about Twitter is, my favorite saying is, if they aren't selling you a product, you are the product. If they aren't selling you a product, you are the product. And that's exactly what Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google, that's exactly what they do. They sell your attention to advertisers, and that's how paid traffic works. Now you may be saying, but Mike, didn't you just say it needs to be free traffic at scale? Here's what you do. And here's what I do for clients. I know that I need to be able to turn on Facebook ads tomorrow and just turn the floodgates of traffic on. I know that I need to do that. So what I do is I build something called a break-even offer. This is something that's fairly inexpensive. It could be a $21 ebook. It could be a $7 guide. It could be a $49 audio course. It could be it's just something small. It could be a physical book that gets shipped to their house. It could be maybe it's if you're working with a gardening company and you're trying to get them $1 million, your break-even offer could be something as simple as a packet of seeds that gets shipped to their house, but it's a special kind of seed. It's only $10 or whatever. All I'm trying to do is make it so that when I spend $1 on Facebook ads to drive that traffic, there's something on the other side of that that's for sale, and it's low enough and it's cheap enough that enough people will purchase it so that I get $1 back. So $1 goes into Facebook ads, and then $1 comes back out of Facebook ads. $1 goes in, $1 comes back. $1 goes in, $1 comes back. Where that $1's coming back, let me be perfectly clear. When I run people through whatever it is I've built, so when I pay Facebook, maybe like $10 a day to get like 15 clicks, and those clicks go to a page, and on that page is my $7 thing, and a couple people buy it, maybe one or two people buy it. I put $10 in, and then I made maybe like $10 back in sales of whatever was on that page. So now, a couple of things are happening. One, I'm getting a ton of traffic at net zero investment, which is to say I make back every penny I pour in, which is like the magic secret ingredient to taking someone you've never heard of and just blowing up their entire, like they're all over the internet, they see you everywhere. It's because when they spend $1, they get $1 back. Okay, that's the first thing that happens. But there's a second thing that happens, and this is a critical component to making this service work. All those little $7 and $10 and $20 purchases, My client doesn't make any profit off of those. The goal is not to make profit. The goal is not to make profit. The goal, if we're making profit off of the little $21 ebooks, we're not spending enough money on traffic. We're not giving them the volume that they need. We want that to be net zero, because it means we're just running tons of traffic and getting a lot of volume. Because every time we sell one of those things, we're creating customers for my client. And a customer is 16 times more likely to buy something again as opposed to a non-customer buying something for the first time. In other words, what I'm doing for my client is building a massive list of customers that my client can then sell other things to. So if that's all I did for my client, most of the clients that I take on, they already have the assets that if that was the only thing I ever did for them, which was create what's called a break-even machine, so $1 in and $1 out to build a bunch of customers at net zero cost, and that's all I did for them, that in and of itself would add $1 million in additional revenue because of the propensity of a customer to spend more money. Those customers would go buy a bunch more of the stuff that my clients already have. But that's only step one. And by the way, there's another side effect that happens as I've built out this break-even machine and I'm selling these little $7, $10, whatever. We're also building just a regular old email list of people who haven't bought anything. So now my client's email list within a year goes from nothing to 150,000 people. Now you've got influence. Now if you want to start blogging or do any of this other organic stuff, you have what's basically called a self-perpetuating traffic machine, because you send your blog posts to somebody who has a 150-person email list. You send it to 150,000 people. Guess what? That blog post is getting shared. It's getting all sorts of SEO rankings. Now you have an unfair advantage. Secret little note here, in Neil Patel's case study where he went from $0 to $1 million as in a single year with his blog, note how he kept emailing the blog to his list. Right? Even though it was supposed to be a complete from scratch, that's how it happened. Self-perpetuating traffic cycles are very powerful things. Okay, but that's not all we're doing for a client. There are many clients who would happily pay $10,000 a month for someone to build that for them because they would know how to turn it into something amazing. The second thing is that I need to take whatever it is that my client does and turn it into a high ticket offer, anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000. I normally start my clients at $1,000. What is it that I'm doing? Most of the people that I work with are experts, which is to say they have a lot of information and knowledge, and I help them to take that information and knowledge and turn it into an online course, and we charge $1,000 for that course. That's simple. Now, that's usually the first year. So again, a break-even machine and then $1,000 program, we can very easily sell 1,000 of those $1,000 programs in 12 months because the break-even machine has built this massive email list, this big list of customers. It's very easy to do. However, in year 2, I might look at how do we put a $5,000 coaching program into the mix? How do I put a $25,000 one-on-one consulting contract into the mix, or group consulting, or etc.? So, like I said, the reason my clients stay with me for a long time is because we have these sort of step systems of it's 1,000 first, then 5,000, then 25,000. So my clients, typically go from 0 to multi-millions over several years, but in the beginning it's 0 to $1 million. And all we do is create that break even. And then I take whatever it is that my client is an expert at, and I turn it into a program, a course that we sell for $1,000. Very, very simple. You've seen this online a bunch. Like, this is not, I didn't discover this model. I just put together and found out that my superpowers and my interests and what I enjoy doing fits within this model. And I'm able to do it for my clients. And it's really fun because, my clients like to teach. I like to teach. We like to create lessons, create video modules, figure out what's the mission of the program. Who are we helping? How are we going to help them? What do we want the results to be? Like, this is a very fun process if you enjoy teaching. And if you want to do this for yourself and you enjoy teaching, this is really, really fun, right? Like $1,000 program, you get to teach something that's really important. The key to the core product, we call it a signature program. The key to a good signature program is it has to be results based. So in other words, it can't just be, I will teach you how to feel better about yourself. Okay. Nobody's really going to spend $1,000. Why would they? They could just go to YouTube. Instead, it could be something like, I will help you to lose 20 pounds in the next 90 days. And in this program, there are worksheets, there's accountability people, like someone's going to call you every week and be like, hey, what are you doing? Are you there yet? Have you made, are you successful? There's going to be every week you'll do a Q&A call where you will sit there and answer people's questions. Hey, I really wanted this piece of chocolate cake and I ate it. What can I do now? Or how do I, when I'm sore, how do I still do my workout the next day, and answer those kinds of questions. There's videos, all kinds of good stuff. We could have an entire year's worth of podcasts just talking about what makes a good signature program. The point is that the program has to deliver a result. Now, the result that's delivered, the person has to do themselves. So it's $1,000 for a do-it-yourself. For those of you who want to increase the price of your services, offering a do-it-yourself version of what you do allows you to increase how much you're able to charge for doing it for them. By the way, a little side note there. For example, if I wanted to get paid more than $12,500 a month, what I would do is I'd go create a break even for myself, for my freelancing business, not for No Pants. Okay, again, No Pants is a different business than my freelancing business. No Pants is me just kind of giving back. We donate a bunch of money to charity. 100% of the profits of No Pants goes to charity. It is more focused on just giving back and helping people. But my freelancing business, all I'd have to do is go build a break even, then build a signature program that is, by the end of this signature program, you'll have your break even and you'll have your 997 and you'll have this and you'll have that and you'll have these things. And then if I were to offer, I'll do it for you on the back end, I could charge even more than what I do now, because there's always that ability to disqualify. Somebody might say, well, I really want to do this, but I don't know if I have the $12,000. And you say, great, here's $1,000 program, do it yourself. Anyways, that may have been a little bit confusing, but for those of you who are sort of like thinking of how to use this stuff either in your business, or maybe you don't want to do it for clients, or maybe you want to do it for yourself, or maybe you just want to keep doing your freelancing, there's lots of things you can use with this very simple 3-step process. Okay. So that's what you need. You need a high ticket offer. And then next is you need a way to sell that offer at scale. It's very, very simple. You do not need to be emailing and calling and all these sorts of different things. Every single person who wants to buy your stuff. We got a ton of traffic for a reason, a ton of traffic that was free to get. Remember, $1 in, $1 out. All you need to do is create a workshop, a webinar, a sales video, All you have to do, I recommend my clients in the beginning to do a live workshop, which is get on something like Zoom and actually teach for about 45 minutes. And then at the end say, hey, I have this program. If you'd like to learn more, here's some information. It's $1,000 or it's a $5,000 coaching program, or it's a $25,000 to work with me one-on-one, or whatever that process is. I recommend that they do it live in the beginning, because you get a lot of really good data. People being like, I don't know what any of this is. Why are you giving this workshop? Or people saying, I loved that part, or I didn't like that part, or this is the reason why I bought, or I'm so excited to buy right now. So you do it live. It can be done in as simply as going on Zoom, right? Zoom.us, I believe, is the URL. You can run all sorts of workshops and webinars and live training classes from that. It's very, very simple. All you do is the email list that you've built, right, from your break-even machine, so $1 in, $1 out, all of those leads that you got from Facebook, invite them to the live training. Very, very simple. And sell your thing at scale without having to necessarily talk to every single person who buys it. Now, for something like the $5,000 or the $25,000 thing, you may have to send them to an application page where they fill out an application. You'll notice that we no longer allow people to purchase the No Pants Project from what you would call sort of just a naked link, which is to say, in the past, we let anybody find our buy button online. And so we didn't have a vetting process at all for our coaching and mentor program. Since then, we now require people to fill out an application and then have a call with one of our enrollment specialists, because at a higher price point, we expect higher quality people. And so, if you go to the nopantsproject.com and go through that whole process, that's how you sell something that's more than $1,000. Have them fill out an application, see if they're a good fit for your program, get on a call if you need to. You don't have to get on a call. How we sell one of our other programs, which is Triple Point, where we help copywriters specifically and get them leads and potential jobs and things like that. We just do it all through Facebook Messenger. So at a price point higher than $1,000, you really do want to have some kind of a conversation. But the thing is, you don't have to be the one having the conversation. Your client doesn't have to be the one having the conversation. I don't have the conversation. I have team members who have that conversation for me. They know who we're looking for because they themselves are students of those programs. So they know, sort of who is going to be more successful. And they deny applications, they accept applications, things like that. And that's it. That's the whole process. My clients happily pay $12,500 a month, not because I'm awesome, not because I'm the greatest writer who's ever lived. I'm not the greatest writer who's ever lived. I would say most writers are better than I am. What I decided to do, though, was solve a bigger problem than just writing content or writing copy. And so because I did that, and because I used my superpowers, because I called on other freelancers to kind of help me in the area, I don't do any of the tech build. If you've ever seen anything technical related that is associated with me, I can promise you I didn't build it. I don't know how to do WordPress. I don't know how to do ClickFunnels. I don't know how to do any of these things at the level that's required to make $1 million for someone in 12 months. I have people who do it for me. And they're fellow freelancers. So in my superpower development, part of my superpower was realizing I don't want to work all day. Part of my superpower was realizing I wanted to solve bigger problems because I wanted to get paid more. Part of my superpower was really realizing I enjoyed strategy. I enjoyed thinking. I enjoyed putting together plans and having other people help me to execute them. And so my superpower in how I'm able to help people add $1 million in revenue in 12 months or less is a combination of factors, because I solve and I create compound solutions for compound problems. I fundamentally believe that anybody can come up with solutions to compound problems, and to do so in a way that's actually less stressful than being a commoditized freelancer. So when I look at my business now as a freelancer versus when I very first started and I was like doing the gig to gig and the churn and trying to get paid as much as I possibly could for a sales letter, and then still having to do sales letter after sales letter after sales letter, my business now is so much less stressful. Unbelievably less stressful. Like just forget about the money for a second. Just the stress levels significantly lower, and it's because I have fewer clients. It's very clear what I do. So sometimes when you're a freelancer and you get hired by someone and the expectations can be unclear because they're just trying to plug you into a hole in their sort of compound problem equation, and they don't even necessarily know what the answer is. They just know somebody said you need a copywriter, so they got a copywriter, they got a designer, they got a programmer, and I don't know where this person fits, and I don't know how to. And so they can't have clear expectations for you because they don't even know what they're doing. You flip that on your head by saying, I'm going to tell you what I do. If you'd like to fit into this thing that I've figured out, most people like you need, and I figured out a solution on how to get it to you, great. But I'm the vendor, you're my client, you don't need to be telling me what to do because I know how to get the result that you want. That in and of itself, just that small little tweak in relationship with a client can unload a significant amount of stress that freelancers experience. It's not about control, it's about measuring expectations and having clarity about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And of course, the key to being able to do that is first finding your superpower, and then secondly, having a process that allows you to disqualify. And you can really only disqualify when you have more leads coming in to your whatever it is that you're doing, your sales process. If you'd like help with that kind of stuff, please do visit the nopantsproject.com. You'll have to apply and then chat with one of our people. That's what we do in our coaching and mentor program. Help you find a superpower, help you set up a client getting faucet. That's what we call it, where it allows you to disqualify because you're getting so many leads coming in. Very simple. It's simple stuff. All of this is simple. It's all about execution. It really only does take 3 steps to add $1 million in revenue to the right business. Those 3 steps are free traffic at scale. Second step is creating a high ticket offer. Third step is having a way to sell that high ticket offer at scale. So, hopefully this episode has been helpful to those of you who are A, thinking about what superpower you could offer, or B, thinking of alternative ways to deliver service, because everything I've just told you, you could also do for yourself. You don't have to necessarily turn it into something that you give to a client. You could build a little $21 thing, run Facebook ad traffic to it, sell it at break even, come up with a $1,000 program that you sell, and sell it from a workshop. You could do that for yourself. Or you could do it for clients. Or you could take one aspect of what I said and apply it to your business right now. Maybe you just think, oh my gosh, what if I could get just tons of leads at net zero by doing a break-even machine? I could turn Facebook ads on tomorrow, put $1 in, get $1 back immediately, and now I can just start disqualifying people. That in and of itself would change my business in a radical way. So hopefully this was helpful, my dear friends. This is episode 8 of the No Pants Show, where I shared with you how I charge my clients $12,500 a month. if we have enough of a sort of response to this kind of podcast episode, happy to do many more of these. Again, we have episodes dropping daily, trying to serve you as best as we possibly can. Hopefully, these podcasts knock some thoughts loose, inspire you to engage more, to invest more of your time, effort, and money in increasing your skills, learning new things, making new connections, and just my hope for this podcast is that it helps you to progress and grow just that much more every single day. All right, my friends, until our next episode, have a good one.